My name's Alan Weeks. I was here at Mankato from 1994 to 1998. I got a bachelor's in technical theater, kind of an emphasis in stage management, and did some lighting design while I was here. After I left Mankato, I went and worked at Climb Theater for about 2.5 years. I was their company manager / production manager there, kind of oversaw all of their tours that went out to various schools. And then I was production manager at Actors Theater in Minnesota for about 6 years at various locations in the Showboat in downtown St. Paul. And then we renovated a new space in the Lowry building where we did a number of shows. And then about 3.5 years ago, I went to Penumbra, and that's where I'm currently as their production manager. And I'm down here now in Mankato because Lou is directing Crumbs from the Table of Joe. Some of the shows that I worked on, some of the memorable ones were A Chorus Line that Louis Whitlock directed. That was actually the first show I stage managed on the main stage. Another show over at the Phoenix Theater when it was the Phoenix and not the Andreas. Adufa was directed by David Donker. It was a really wonderful piece, and that was actually the first show I stage managed. And then just kind of kept stage managing, did a lot of work backstage on Sweeney Todd, did some lighting design for some shows at the Phoenix, and then on the main stage I did Life with Father and Remember the Wedding. So there, and also Lion in Winter, which was a wonderful show. I did the lighting for those three. And I think the thing that I really appreciate about the program here is that it was extremely practical. I was able to get real hands-on in a lot of different departments, and that has definitely helped me in what I do now. Being a production manager, I have to be able to communicate with all the various departments and really know what the details of their process is, and be able to kind of put that together as a whole. So having had that really wide and at the same time deep experience in all the various departments has allowed me to, facilitate that communication and that sort of thing. So it was very good. I think the practical nature of the program was what I think was the most beneficial. Once you develop some experience and some, network really is what it takes. I don't feel like I've actually used my resume in probably 5 or 6 years. It's all word of mouth. It's people who know people who, we know so and so needs a stage manager, or so and so needs a sound designer, or something like that. We just kind of all call and know each other. I think the one benefit of having an MFA or something like that is if you get some point down the road and you want to teach. That's really the thing that I've thought about. I've thought about looking at, maybe an MA, even though that's not a terminal degree, but an MA or an MFA in nonprofit administration, because that was one thing that, it was, we sort of had classes on that here, but some of the, incorporating a nonprofit and board management and things like that, I think that sort of thing would be beneficial to go and get a master's degree for. And, if you're trying to get into like a managing director role or an executive director role or even a general manager role, they're going to look for some of those, more concrete business related either degree or experience that you might not get just working in theater. Just being able to work with anybody is really beneficial, and really having an excellent attitude every day when you go to work. I think there's a lot of talented people out there, and if you're kind of a pain to work with, it doesn't matter how talented you are, people are going to be looking for someone that they want to have around them. Other than that, I think it's the same thing that I touched on before, that having that broad experience and really being able to say, oh, somebody needs a lighting designer, I know how to do that, I can go do lighting. Someone needs a sound designer, I can go do that. Someone needs a set built, someone needs a show stage managed. To really have that broad base has really kept me employed, because I think if I were just limited and say I'm only out there looking for sound jobs or something like that, then, there's not going to be as much that comes along. And you just kind of get to know, because all of the different departments sort of move in their own circles to a certain extent, so to be able to kind of have fingers in all of those different areas is really, really helpful. As with most small to mid-sized theaters, it's pretty wide and varied. It includes most of the things that you would consider that a production manager would do, but also the stuff that company manager would do. So as a production manager, I'm responsible for, the season is set by the artistic team. Then I create a budget based on reading the scripts and the shows that they want to do. We put together a budget. I create a calendar for the season. And this is obviously all of this is in collaboration with the folks there, but these are kind of the things that I head up. Create the calendar, and then as we progress through the season, we organize auditions, get the actors in. I will hire and contract all of the designers, the technicians. At the beginning of the season, there's always some union negotiations that happen mostly with equity each year to negotiate our contract for the year, and figure out how many equity contracts we can have and that sort of thing, and kind of go back and forth with them on that. And then as we get into each production, make sure everybody's contracted, make sure everybody is on the same page, organize production meetings, run the production meetings, just kind of follow up and make sure people are staying on task and on schedule and that sort of thing. We always try to obviously hire really good people, so a lot of the time it's just a matter of kind of getting out of their way. Working for an organization that has that history, it's really cool and interesting to see all of these other people come around who have been a part of the organization, and to feel part of something that's larger than you is pretty cool. At the same time, it's just it's like any other theater. Working with Lou, he's very, very laid back. He has very high expectations, but he's laid back and professional, and there's not it's very kind of a flat hierarchy throughout the organization. And it's a really pleasant place to work, and it's exciting to work on such interesting material and such high quality material. There's something that earlier in my career I often longed for was to be able to work on pieces that really meant something. You could have a serious conversation about afterwards. And I have no problem with sheer entertainment. I love that as well. I love doing musicals, but on a day in and day out basis, it's great to have a really good piece that you can have that conversation about afterwards. So. Well, I think a high point was when we did I Wish You Love at Penumbra. That was very cool. We had the opportunity to produce an original play at Penumbra, and it was an original play that Dominic Taylor wrote, and it was a fairly complex show technically. It involved lots of live cameras and video and all this sorts of stuff. To be able to put that together at Penumbra and then take it on tour to the Kennedy Center and then to Hartford afterwards is very cool. And we routinely will do co-productions with Arizona Theater Company and the Guthrie, and kind of often we'll start the show at Arizona, which is happening right now. Mountaintop with James Alfred just opened down there. It's going to go to North Carolina at the Blumenthal Performing Arts for a couple weeks, and then it comes up to the Guthrie in the spring. So to be a part of that larger network is very cool.